once recording starts, I will, okay, great. This house would encourage women to be selfish, and without any further ado, I'd like to call upon the Prime Minister. Here.
In this house, we support the radical choice for women to be selfish, and we are going to explain to you how women are systematically disadvantaged and why being selfish is the best way to get those disadvantages out of the way. First of all, I will start my speech with explaining what selfish means. Being selfish is putting yourself and your oneself only in front of any other person, meaning your priorities are yourself, not your family, not your friends, not your coworkers, none of those people. From a young age, women are trained to look out for each other. Not only for each other, but they're trained to be responsible for their families, for their friends, for their coworkers, as I mentioned before. We do not see this kind of pressure being put on men, because a man who steps over the people in his life is seen as a strong man. However, when a woman does the same thing, she is seen as cruel and selfish. Unlike men, it is an unspoken rule for women to be selfish, to think about family first, and to put their wants and needs second. Let's take a look at how a woman is perceived versus how a man is when acting selfish. If a man decides to take a job abroad, for example, away from his kids, away from his family and his life, he is seen to be courageous. He is seen to put himself second. He is seen to put his family first. However, when a woman does the same thing for her career, she is seen as selfish, and she is seen as someone who doesn't care about their family and cares about themselves only. One other example is when women are put in hard positions in their jobs, it is almost always expected from them to be the soft player, to help others without expecting a payback, and to help others because of the goodness of their hearts. These things are what holds women back, because acting outside the norm is considered very rare and weird, and women are usually put down for it. But abandoning those rules makes women feel weak and unable to achieve what they want or do what they want to do in life. A great example comes from the TV show Suits. We see the main strong woman in that show, Jessica, who's a Black woman who fought, who gave up on her family because her husband wasn't ready to accept the fact that he had to give up on his career for her to advance in her career. And the result of that was a split up. If we reverse this scenario and look at a woman who wants to give up her career for her man to advance and for her relationship to stay, we wouldn't see anything different. One other crucial example is having children. Women who choose to not have children and to not have this family structure that is pressured on those women from a young age are considered to be selfish and cruel, as I mentioned, while a man is considered to be strong and he doesn't need a family, he doesn't need children, he's a successful man. He can have as many relationships as he wants. There will always be as much, before I get to that, I want to have a comparison between two worlds. A world where women are pushed to be selfish, and a world where women are considered to be cruel for being selfish. If this world is supportive for women who are selfish, there will be as much of a responsibility for the man to give up on his dreams as a woman in a relationship. What is the impact of this? We will see women as likely to advance in their careers and to achieve their dreams. We will see women not being pressured to being moms and to being friends and to being the protector of the family, while the man only goes to their job and achieves their dreams, even if they leave their families for weeks at a time. Women won't be ashamed for their career choices and won't be pressured into choosing family or jobs, because from what we've seen from strong women, they are able to balance both if they want to and if they choose to. But if they don't want to do that, they are considered to be a failure no matter how successful they are, because the perspective that society has on women is for them to create their families and for them to pursue having a relationship and having children. So if we look at both of those worlds, women will be much more empowered and much more likely to get to the positions that they dream of. A woman can go into med school without being reminded 1,000 times that she will have to work night shifts, that she, if she wanted to have children, has to put her career on hold, while a man is pushed and told that they are a hero because they're choosing this very hard career and because they're putting all of their energy into this one career, and even though it might affect their family in the future. And we see this as a very clear example in Grey's Anatomy. We see the women, when they make a very radical choice and leave a relationship, everyone is ridiculing them. Everyone is talking about how heartless they are, how they do not care about their emotions, how they are putting themselves first. While a man, when they do the same thing, it is not even looked at twice. It is considered to be normal. So why do we at this house support this radical move? Because we know that if women do not become selfish and do not put themselves first, they will always be second. They will never have the choice to be first or second, to put someone in front of them, in front of their needs, or to put themselves in front of those needs. However, when we see a lot of women in society taking the choice to become first and to not care about friends and family as much as they're expected to, and to act the same way as the men do in the job market, let's say, we will only see the change happen if those women take this step, and if women are raised from a young age that they're born to be successful, that they're born to have this to choose whatever career they want, that they are born and they don't have to think about their family, their children, their friendships all the time. They can make sacrifices, they can advance just as men can do. And this is why we are proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for your fine speech. Without any further ado, we'd like to call upon the leader of opposition. Here.
Can you let me set my timer first?
Of course.
1 second. Okay, I can start. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm the leader of the opposition, and we are proudly opposing the motion. So ladies and gentlemen, while we agree with the problems which the government set forward, we don't believe women being selfish is the right way to solve those problems. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that the analysis of the government is very shallow. It is very limited to the points, and we believe that the government is confusing problems. The problem that we have here is women not having choices, and is women not having choices, not women being selfish. We want the government to show us how not having choices is necessarily the same as being selfish or not being selfish. So ladies and gentlemen, our analysis as the opposition, we believe that the root of the problem that women faces is not them not being selfish, but it's because they are not given the right to choose by the patriarchal society. And that's why we, as the opposition, we believe that the right way to solve the problems that women are facing is to empower women to have choices and to empower women to use their unconditional love in order to serve the community. Ladies and gentlemen, the speaker of the government clearly said that men are allowed to do everything which they want to do, but women are not allowed to do whatever they want to do. And then that is responsible for the problems that we have. And we agree with that analysis. But we are taking the analysis a step further by reminding you that this is a patriarchal society. This is a society in which men have the choices to materialize and to implement to implement their will. This means that basically, this basically means that men having the power to exercise and the power of will, they can actually materialize what they want to do, where women cannot. So, which means that the problem that we have as a society is basically patriarchal selfishness. Men have the right to choose, and then rather than using what they have for the benefit of the society, they use what they are against for the benefit of the male species only. And then we believe that the patriarchal selfishness cannot be solved by feminist selfishness. What we are advocating for as the opposition is to give women power, empower women, and then let women use that power for the benefit of the society. I'm going to show you how this serves better the society than female selfishness. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start by quoting the Angela Davis, one very prominent Black feminist. She said that radical self-care, which is self-care that involves community, self-care that is not simply individualistic, but self-care that helps us all to heal. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kind of self-care which we are advocating for as the opposition. We want women to be empowered, but in that empowerment, we want them to use their power for the benefit of the community as a whole, not for the benefit of just them as individuals. And I'm also going to quote another quote: cultivate community. Always try to think of yourself as part of a larger community and not as a single individual. That is capitalist neoliberal conception that we have internalized. We cannot forget that we are not alone. So ladies and gentlemen, we empowering women should not be limited in women accessing financial means, women getting the jobs they want, but it has to be rooted in a sense that women are actually going to use that power for the benefit of the community. Because this is the lack of using power for the benefit of the community is the very root cause of the problems we are facing. So far as a society, we have promoted men, we have given men all the power, political power, economical power, financial power, military power, but we didn't teach men to use that power for the benefit of the community. And ladies and gentlemen, if we empower women in a selfish way, we are going to replicate and we are going to exacerbate the harms which our society is facing. That's why as the opposition, we want to empower women, we want to give them the right to choose, but then we want them to use that right to choose for the benefit, for the collective of the whole. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently living in a world where we are living in the most unequal times, where the top 10% is richer than the bottom 90%. This is because we are giving people power, we are giving people the right to choose, but we don't tell them how to use that for the benefit of everyone. We cannot, as the opposition, to relate to see the same mistakes being repeated. We believe that feminism can heal the evils which our society is facing. We believe that feminism is better than patriarchy because feminism can see above itself. Basically, we believe that women can see beyond themselves. We believe that empowered women should not think about their own gains only, but they have to think about the collective society. Because this is the way and the only way to heal the evils and the suffering which our community is going through. So ladies and gentlemen, we want the government to tell us, how will women's selfishness look alike? How will it make society a better place? How will it work to the society advantage and not the detriment? And how, most importantly, how will that selfishness solve the problem which we are going through? Because as I have been saying and as I want to remind, the very cause of evils we are having is that we empowered people, mostly men, and then we didn't tell them to be selfless. Now what we want to do to solve the problem, we want to empower women and tell them to be selfless, to work for the benefit of the society. The reason of the problems we have is not that women are not being selfish, it's that women don't have power to begin with. If women want to go to school or want to drop out of marriage, they don't have the financial means to drop out of marriage, they don't have the financial means to pursue their goals. So we as the opposition, we are empowering women, we are giving them the power to exercise their choices, we are giving them the power and the right to pursue their dreams, but on top of that, we are instilling in them a sense of community, which will make them do what patriarchy was never able to do, which will make them be able to think beyond themselves and think for the collective interest. Because the only way to heal our society is to cultivate unconditional love, it is to cultivate a sense of community, is to cultivate a sense of responsibility which goes beyond the individual and cares about everyone else. We believe that women who are empowered and women who are selfless are the women who can reduce global poverty, are the women who can reduce inequality, are the women who can create a society which is inclusive, free, equal, and which is equity and which welcomes everyone. I proudly oppose the motion.
Thank you for your fine speech. We'd like to continue with the Deputy Prime Minister. Here, here.
Yes, here. Shall I start?
Yes, you may start.
Okay. So the first speaker of the opposition contended that they cannot be selfish while have children. Becoming a parent involves a certain amount of sacrifice. There is no doubt about that. But the mom life culture is a strange one. They are often expected to put their children's needs ahead of their own at all costs. But if you take some time to take care of yourself, and if women take of themselves and do what they love, they will actually be a better mom in the long run. And also, um, uh, it's unrealistic to say women can reach positions men are reaching while caring about the community. Because if we look at all of those people, all of those men, they were selfish. We are advocating for women to act the same. Um, Here today, I will be arguing only one point, which is women should be financially selfish. Women are givers by nature, especially when it comes to their money. Women often sacrifice their own financial well-being. Being financially selfish means two things. First, to be financially selfish means less stress. Money is known as a leading cause of stress, according to a recent study from the American Psychological Association, which found nearly two-thirds of adults reported money and work each to be a stressor. Stress related to financial struggles can impact both psychological and physical health. Indeed, the APA report noted those who report high levels of stress about money often engage in unhealthy behaviors to manage the stress. Add that is financial struggles may strain individual cognitive abilities. Um, and making money a top priority yields another important benefit as well. Liberated from the weight of financial uncertainty, women can restore a sense of balance that may enable them to be more emotionally available to their spouse, kids, friends, and career. By caring about themselves, they can be more present for those who they love. Lastly, women should be more selfish with their finance because they have to be. As a gender, women typically live longer, earn less, and have less bank than their male counterparts.
You are.
That makes them more vulnerable in the event of divorce or premature death of a winning spouse.
You are.
Declaring their own financial security as a top priority, women can not only relieve a significant source of stress, but also potentially strengthen their relationship with their spouse, family, and friends. Thank you.
You are. How can women do all that you said if they are selfish but not empowered?
Could you please raise your voice?
I said, how can women do all that if they are selfish but not empowered?
Do you mean that like being empowered is different than being selfish, or what?
Yeah.
Well, no, actually they are the same. To be empowered, it means like you are independent, like you are, you can take care. Selfish here, it means that you can care of yourself. Then you can care by caring of yourself. You will care about others. Like it's like something related to something else.
So, seeing that the Deputy Prime Minister has finished her speech, I would like to go on to the next speaker from the opposition bench to close the top half, right? Deputy Leader of the Opposition, you may start your speech when you're ready.
As we are standing against women being selfish, I want first of all to highlight that we are, as the opening government was stating, they were stating that the extreme kind of selfishness. They were saying that the women should be the first, should not be the second. The woman should prioritize herself, not her children or her family or her friends or anyone else in this society. Here they are making selfishness as a competition. As me as a woman, I'm competing the man. I'm competing him to be the first, not the second, to be the one who own more rights than him, or at least like him. But we forget that this selfishness came from an extreme suppression. This extreme selfishness came from an extreme suppression from the past. It was created, we should understand that this was created from the past, when many, we do not ignore this, many women from different societies, from different religions, from different ethnicities, were always suppressed and having less rights, and they were not having their own word above the man or above the society in general. They were always the one who is sacrificing. We admit this, but nowadays we do not want to make this extreme past history to make us go to the extreme selfishness, that the woman, when she will start being selfish, she will go to destruct other rights, other society parts rights. So she will, we want to highlight that in order to not go from an extreme suppression to extreme selfishness, we want to make a balance, find a balance. And when we speak about the selfishness of women, we should empower always that also that the man should have a balanced selfishness, a balanced self-priority, let's call it better than selfishness. And also the woman, it is something in parallel. We should not only highlight and empower the women's side. I cannot take any question that we could not highlight the women's side and forget the men's side. When we speak about empowering selfishness of the woman, we speak about also the selfishness of men. We should imbalance both of them, because we cannot make one the first and the second. The second, we are both biologically different than each other, so I cannot go and say this woman must be better than the man, or prioritize herself always. So to highlight that, we shouldn't compete each other. We should find a point where is it balance better than making the extreme past taking us to an extreme standing for it. So another point that I want to mention is that women, when we defend the selfishness of the woman, this is the point where women will go out of their own rights. Each human being in this life, if they are if we are defending them and pushing them to make selfishness, we are not saying that we want men always to be the selfish. I said it before that we want also men to be balanced. We want women not as the past. We want it balanced in her self priorities. She has choices. She has her own rights and choices, but she has her own circle. When she will go out of that circle of rights, even her or the man itself, both of them, if they go out of that right circles, they will start destructing the rights of other part of the society. So each one in the society, and highlighting the woman, should always stay in her circle of rights, should always empowering her circle of rights. So we defend So when the opening government mentioned that about marriage, about work, this is a choice. When the woman wants to marry, or here it is not called a selfishness. Here is her choice. There are some topics where it is a choice and are right, and some of them are not a choice. They are going to an extreme selfishness. And also research in social sciences other than economics indicates substantial differences in behavior between men and women. The general conclusion drawn from this work is that women will be more socially oriented. It means selfless. This is by their nature, by the brain of the woman. It is more kind, more helpful, more. We know it that it is more kind than the man who is always in that picture of harsh person. So and this is about biopsychology. If we study biopsychology, if we look there, we find that biopsychology say that women is more tending, her brain functions, her hormones tend to be let her to be selfless. So we cannot. Women, we always admit that women are the heart of the small family. They are the heart of the whole society, and they are the ones who maintain the well-being of the society. We want them to have their own rights. We do not want to defend women to be equal with men, or to be more selfish than men, or to be more prioritizing herself. We want her to know her own rights, to understand them, then to empower them and stand for them, and all the society to stand for her. So we said, as I said before, by their nature, women are emotional, so they will be kind and hopeful and easygoing with their surroundings. That's what makes them, by their nature, not really selfish. That the opening government is standing for. They want the women empower the selfishness. So here again, we said we are proud to not stand for extremes. We are here to stand for balance for women and men. When we speak about women, we speak about men. We cannot make one first and one the second, because we are all living in this life. We are all living in this planet. Both of us, men and women, are creating life together. We cannot make a planet for men and planet for women, because both of them are creating families. Both of them, if one is missing, the life will not continue. So both of them are important. Both of them should stay in this. We should balance them. Okay. Also, we believe that women should be empowered and use their power to heal and improve the fate of their communities and societies. We believe that having the right of choice isn't the same as being selfish. We want women to have choices and use those choices to make their families and societies better. So the solution that the government is proposing is wrong. Selfishness can't heal the society. Empowered and selfless women can. Thank you. So here, why we are proud and highly proud to be balanced in our self-prioritizing for women. Thank you.
Thank you for your fine speech. We'd like to go on to the bottom half of our debate today. So please, member of the government, here. You may start your speech once you're ready.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So opening opposition said that selfishness is equal to not respect human rights, but that is not true. Selfishness is when your own interests are more important than somebody else's for you. It's just prioritization, and it doesn't mean that I don't care about another people's rights. It just means that I do things which I want to do, and not which another one wants me to do, and I act like I want, and not like want somebody else. So it doesn't mean that now women don't care about human rights and something like this. So also, we don't understand why their case is mutually exclusive with our case, because women still will be interested in feminism, in human rights, in women's rights, because it directly affects on their rights. It doesn't, or it directly affects on their life. And if now I'm selfish and I want to be happy, I still should care about feminism, because feminism makes me happier, because feminism protects my rights, and I feel more free when I feel protected. So that is why women still will be care about women's rights, and they still will be interested in this. So our case, if we will encourage women to be selfish, it will be like new narrative. Why this narrative will work? Because it will be encouraged and women won't be afraid to be selfish. It works like in case with harassment or domestic violence. Before, especially in CIS states, women were not encouraged when they sue their husband for domestic violence, and because people told them that they broke their family, or when women faced with harassment, they didn't tell about this to anybody, because it meant that women are dishonored now and no one didn't want to marry her anymore. But now when society encourage, when women talk about this, and women don't afraid to talk about this, about harassment and about domestic violence, and with our narrative, the same logic will be work, because now women are not afraid to be selfish anymore. But it doesn't mean that all women will be selfish now. It is important to understand that we don't make all women selfish. We just let them to choose another one behavior pattern that can make some women happy. But if selfishness not make you happy, you can choose something else. You can choose something else. But in world of opposition, when women can't choose this behavior pattern, they will be, some women will be less happier. For example, if some girl in world of opposition can't wear a short skirt, for example, because in her society it is not appreciated. It's not appreciated, and this woman will be less happier, because she can't wear what she wants, and because she can't prioritize her own interests under otherwise society's interests. Interests, okay. But in our world, when some women can be selfish, she can prioritize her own interests under or over society's interests. She can buy this short skirt, and she can feel happier, and she don't care about what society will say to her, and this is good for her. But if some women feel right, feel okay, feel fine when she lives by social standards, she just can to continue live with this, and she just can to not to be selfish, can to choose to not to be selfish, and this is really big problem because uh, often women are um, discriminated by their choice, but we make but now she can uh, she can't care, she can to not to care about this about another opinions, and this is good for them. So so in our case we just want to let women choose another one behavior pattern and make some women's happier. And we think that to give them another one choice, it is really important for them, and some women will be happier in our world. But in world of opposition, this woman still will be suffer because she can wear a short skirt. It's just an example, but I guess it is clear what I mean. Thank you.
Thank you for your fine speech. I would like to continue to the first speaker from the closing opposition. Here.
Hello, everyone. I'm swinging to the team of closing opposition today for the two speakers. So I would like to start my speech by taking out the points of the member of the government and answering the points of the member of the government. So I think that the main question here, like throughout the whole debate, is like whether the selfishness of a woman empowers the woman. And I think that the main line here from the opposition, which like I support, is that being selfish does not always empower women. And in our case, I think that we're standing for the society where this is not the option, this is not the effective way to solve the solution. So I think that from what I heard from all the speeches, like everybody here understands that women should have more rights, women should be empowered. Like this is out of the scope of the question, and this is good. But in my opinion, and the other thing that I would like to state out is that there were different definitions of the selfishness, and I think that from our side, that would be like the close, as we see it, like a closing opposition, is that, and I would like to proceed for the first point, is that like which were that women would not be interested in feminism, would be interested in feminism if they would be selfish. But I think that these are mutually exclusive definitions. I think that selfishness here means that women would be interested only in their lives, only in the lives, like only in the questions which are only in their needs, and only in their desires and priorities, as it was said. But it's not always, you can't say that like every woman here, every woman on the earth wants to be the part of the feminism movement. Yeah, so I would say that selfishness excludes interest in feminism, because I think that women who are very selfish, they're interested only in their lives and only in their problems, and that would not always be as sad as it sounds, but I think that that's not always about the problems of empowerment. That can be like different problems than empowerment, and etc. The second point, I would say that about the new narrative that women are like, if they will become selfish, they would like we will see the new narrative. We will see women who are not afraid to be selfish, and it's again like it's the sign of the equality between not being afraid to be selfish and the empowerment. And again, I think that in this case, not like the sense of like the lack of the fear to be selfish and like focused only on your needs is actually like is opposite to the empowerment, because empowerment is about society. It's about society of women. You have to connect to other people. You have to listen to other people's story. You have to understand other women. You have to support other women. And I think that supporting other human beings, supporting like the other woman who is struggling, is excluded from the definition of the selfishness. So the selfish woman will not, I think that she will not support the other woman. I think that she will not support anybody except for herself by the definition of the selfishness. And I think that this is the biggest like problem here to write the new narrative. If you see throughout the history, new narratives are written by people who are playing in the team, who are standing up for the changes by creating the community of people, by creating the society of people who are not accepting what is happening. Like this recent movements from like the George Floyd like shows us like that this wouldn't be possible if there wouldn't be like the mass of people, a large amount of people who weren't selfish, who weren't thinking only about themselves, who were thinking actually about other people. And like the last thing, I think that prioritizing, like the last point was about prioritizing women's need, and that also that would be the equal to empowerment. But I think that empathy to other people, empathy to people who are in less position is the key as well for the empowerment of women. So I would say that in overall, the idea of empowerment of women is a strong and needed idea, which would be executed better if we as a women and women at all, like in overall, would be less selfish, would be more connecting, would be more empathetic, would help other women build sisterhood in which every woman feels empowered and heard. So that would be the closing opposition position. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. So we would like to go on to the government whip. Here. You may start your speech.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to have a rebuttal on some points of the opposition and the closing opposition. So the first thing is that when the closing opposition is talking about that the women will be focused only on their interests, which because they will be too selfish. We do not understand when we give the woman a choice to be, as the society says, to be a role model of a mother, of the family, or to be selfish, to focus on their own goals. And it is. And the closing opposition is excluding this thing because they say the selfishness needs to be encouraged, because this will lead to the destruction of the feminism. What we find in the feminism is that by this goal, women women always need to be saved from the harassment. Women needs to be saved from the any sex discrimination. And selfish women actually can see this problem and actually can say that I don't want to be discriminated by this, because I want my goals to be aimed. And while the woman who is not encouraged to be selfish, they will understand and say that it is okay to keep silent, and it is okay to keep silent, because I want my family to rise, not my career or not my hobbies. And focusing when the opposition says about we need to be more connecting, the selfish woman actually can see the problem in the society. Selfish woman can see the problem in the patriarchate. So this is the reason women needs to have more choice, and they can choose their behavioral pattern that they because we encourage them to actually do it. As our partner already said, how we do it, in the countries we find that women are being harassed and hit. So right now, as this harassment will as we go to the police and say that they say that the husband hit me, right now it is accepted, but before it wasn't. So in this case, we will provide women more choices to be selfish or not, as the law was explained by my partner. Also, when we're talking about by any of the feminist resolutions, we always need to find a solution to make women's lives better, and to make women more happy at the same level as the other sexes we have. And in the opposition, in the opening opposition case, we see that they want to find happiness only in the selfishness. They say that selfish, it is the only way to be happy, which is not true, because sometimes women needs to have just a choice, because they find family, and they are traditionally women interests as cooking and taking care of the children is more important than career, and it is normal to have women to have a choice in these both patterns. So it means that we need to not just go to only selfishness, but we need to understand that we need to encourage so that women will have more choices. Okay, so the next thing is that even though if we'll accept the opposition's case, we see that even if it will have some changes in the feminism, or it will harm the feminism, we can understand that without any selfishness, without understanding that this that the patriarchate is not to be accepted. We see that if the selfishness of the woman who understood that there is some discrimination, the feminism would harm much more, because when the society says that it is okay, when the society when we see that actually I forgot the point, so next thing. Okay, so if we will not encourage women to be selfish, much less women will feel okay about their own goals. And what I find is that it will harm much more people than we think. For example, it will not we understand that the selfishness can, the not having selfishness or encouraging it will ruin both worlds. However, in our world, when we say that we encouraging women is much more better, we find that we find much more better because we more women will feel satisfied, and and ego and selfishness will understood as the norm of the behavioral pattern of the most people, as it goes the same with the harassment. What we find is that we our case showing much more choice and showing much more relief to the feminism in the society, in the women in general. We find that in this, only in our case, we provide them much more choice, and we provide them dealing with many problems like harassment. We provide them much more solutions to the other problems which opposition is not doing. So thank you.
Thank you for your speech. To finalize our debate, I'd like to call the opposition whip. Here. You may start your speech.
Yes, hello again. And I would like to start out about the first table, first opening government and the closing opposition, opening opposition. So I think that here we had the main debate about what is the selfishness, how does it resolve the problems of empowerment of women being, of women suffering from the lack of rights and being in less, possessing less rights than men. So from the government, we heard that the selfishness would resolve all the issues of women because of the putting women's priorities and women's self above everything else about in her life. So there were a lot of examples, and there were some examples about the way women suffer from choosing family over job, which I guess it's more like it seems to be mutually exclusive in the opening government speech. So what I heard from the opening opposition, what was declared from the opening opposition, is that the selfishness is not the way, is not the right mechanism to resolve the issues of the women's right. So this case was built more on the so this case was built more on the need to build the society that way, so the women wouldn't suffer from the lack of the resources, lack of the rights, by doing a balance, by building a balanced society where women and men are balanced in their, let's say, selfishness, which would be the mark of the happiness of people, as I guess from the speech, and that this is not the only question for women, but it's as well the beneficial, only not for women, but it's beneficial as well for men and society in overall, because that would mean that every human being would be happy, and also I think the other big point which was seen throughout the debate was about the choice. So the other big question was whether selfishness gives a woman more opportunities to have more choice, to choose whether to whether to think about the norms of society or not, and how does that norms of society affect women. And I would say that here we had two different points as well. The government positions were positioned, especially government's weak position was that selfishness gives women more choice, in that way that women are not encouraged to be silent. But so I think that here I didn't see the clear connection between how not being encouraged to be silent gives you or how it is connected to the selfishness, how women's selfishness gives gives her more right to be right of choice, and encourage her not to be silent. So I think that it's an open question here. And what I heard from the deputy leader of opposition is that here the choice, on the example of marriage, that women would have choices now to whether to be or not to be married, or they will have to, or they can have those choices, because we will not face the extreme selfishness of women here, where she or the group of women culturally are not thinking only about themselves, and as a result are thinking only about their own life, and not thinking about connecting to partner to other person. So yeah, I would say that this was the second big line here. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your speech. And I would like to stay somewhere here, not go far away, because I'm going to give out the call in about 10 minutes. I hope that should be enough, 10 to 15 minutes, roughly. And please stay somewhere here, and I'll switch off the mic. You can stop the recording for now, so that we will continue.